Do you want to tell them the surprise or should I tell them? We're so excited! Hello beautiful, what's up? Welcome back to the channel, or hi, I'm Caitlin if you are new here. I got a surprise, I'm so excited. I am launching a store. It is official. If you saw my studio vlog, I was having a little bit of trouble with it, but no more. It is launched. I'm going to start selling all of my bullet journal related stuff over there. Right now I have this September Plan With Me theme up there if you want to incorporate it in your digital planner or print it off and glue it in your paper planner today. All right, I'm so excited. Let's just hop right into the video. First things first, for the cover page, I am pulling out my watercolor paper. I know we're using gouache, but I have had no issues using this watercolor paper. So first thing that I do is I actually tape off the edges with my washi tape. This is going to help give me that crisp edge on the outside, but also make sure I'm not painting over top of my desk. I don't generally show this in my Plan With Me videos, but I'm gonna actually pencil stuff out this time because this painting is a little intimidating. I got this inspiration from Daisy Vibes Studio. She had a lily pad and dragonfly painting on her Instagram, and I absolutely had to use it in my September Plan With Me. What I did is I just first started putting a whole bunch of circles around to represent my lily pads, some overlapping, some standalone, and then came in with my eraser and just erased any of those overlapping sections. First things first, for the paint is coming in with a beautiful navy blue for the water. I just ended up mixing the two blues, green and black, in my Winsor & Newton kit and started painting. Yes, I should have used a bigger brush. And also, yes, I should have mixed up more paint, but I had everything kind of quantity-wise figured out so I could get a color to match it really well. On the inside, I came in by the lily pads with just a little smaller brush because I wanted to make sure that I had a crisp enough line going around all of those edges. If you do end up going in the lily pads, it doesn't matter, we can come back over top of it. That is why we are starting with the farthest away object or item, and in this case it is the water, so that is why I'm starting with it first. Next up, I'm going to tackle the lily pads. So on this page you can kind of see there are some darker and lighter. Basically what I wanted to have was some of the lily pads being further away or further in the water than some others. So I mixed up 3 different greens, one medium color, added a little bit of black to make the darker color, added a little bit of white to make the lighter color. All of the lily pads that are the furthest behind all of my circles that I penciled out was that dark color. Then I came in with a medium one over top. And one thing that I like about gouache, which you can tell, is there's a couple of lines that I actually went over in the water with, and I could just clean that up really good. The only thing to note though is that you are going to want to make sure those gouache paints are dry. Otherwise you're going to start mixing together because they can reactivate the colors pretty easily if you have too much water on there. Now that I have that third light green color over top, you can kind of see the layering and depth already happen within this piece just by having 3 different colors. What I want to do, however, is I want to add a bit more depth and definition, so I created a shadow on the lily pads wherever they were overlapping. So my darkest green needed a darker green over top of it because it was a shadow. Basically, I mixed up a 4th type of green and used it throughout the setup. You can end up seeing that I put in a different line work on the lily pads, starting from the center and then branching them outwards towards the edge of that circle. I also come in and I just outline the V shape, the little Pac-Man part, which is what I think of when I was painting this out. You can get a better look actually if I just zoom up close on this light green one. So I have that darker shade and then I start adding in a little bit of line work. Later on, what I did is I actually had a couple of white lines over top and darker lines over top of those lightest lily pads to make them pop from the page just a little bit more. Now that all of those line works are done, I need to create a shadow in the water. So I've mixed up a darker pigment of that blue and I am coming in and creating shadows for the lily pads. I really had to think about this in my head while doing it because you need to make sure you're putting the shadows wherever the sun is coming from. So I thought my sun was in the bottom left corner, and that is where all of the shadows were being projected to. I did end up adding a couple of ripples in the water with a darker blue and some white to add some movement to the water. Now is for the dragonfly part of this dragonfly theme. I definitely had it a little bit more subtle on the cover page, but then added a bigger statement throughout the theme, which you will see soon. So I did just paint 3 little dragonflies on the front cover. After looking through it and chatting with my girlfriend a little bit, because she is definitely the person I go to for critique on my artwork, she said if I was a person who voted for the dragonfly theme, I would want to see more dragonflies. So I did end up adding just 2 more later after I had recorded everything. I did end up adding a couple little dots just around to represent kind of that mossy slushy bit that you would find in the water by lily pads, and that is really it. So pretty. I love this cover page, and I'm happy that I went out of my comfort zone with it. Used a comfortable medium like gouache, but definitely tried something a bit more challenging for myself this month. What I did is I cut this cover page into 3. Might be a little confusing, but hopefully it'll make sense once you see what I'm doing. I tape it in and I just actually press it down using my ruler so I don't get my finger marks all over the paint. Flipping over the page a little bit, because I'm creating a Dutch door, I want that strip to go through. So I just cut out the excess paper, and when you flip it, the cover page still looks fully intact. Using one of those extra pieces of paper that we cut out, I came in and created my header. If you don't know how to do calligraphy, or you were like me in the beginning and was nervous to do calligraphy, this is how I started. I actually did a faux calligraphy, just doing nice script with my pen first, and then I came back over top and did the darker downstroke. Cutting that out, I then laid it up to the piece of paper in the middle and just cut it. This is going to help my book fold a little bit better and not crinkle or ruin my page. But that is really it for the cover page. On to the calendar. I'm making it a little easier for myself this time around and using my Archer and Olive acrylograph pens instead. I absolutely love them. They dry a lot quicker than the gouache paint. So I'm coming in here first with this peachy color, salmon color, whatever you want to call it, for my calendar. I absolutely loved my business tracker, calendar, layout, overview. Don't know how many more words I can kind of shove in there, but I wanted to try it out for the personal side of my life. So I came in with this little mini calendar and I just wrote out the numbers for the month. Basically what this is going to act as is a little hub for all of my events. I circle a day that I'm busy. If I have multiple things going on during that day, that's okay. It just needs to get circled once. And that is what the plan is going to be. It's just kind of an overview of it. So underneath that little mini calendar, I need a section actually just to track those dates. So I'm coming in with my acrylograph and then Tombow Fudenosuke pen to write out the word events. I think I don't have a lot going on during September. I don't really know, so there should be enough room for me to fit everything that I need underneath. But if you are a type of person who needs just a little bit more room, I would use the right side of the page as well, just for events if you like this type of layout. I, however, don't think I need that much room, so what I'm doing is I'm creating 3 different block categories. The first one is for projects. I just recently created a project management journal for myself. I'm thinking of doing a video on that, so if you're interested in something like that, just comment down below and I will definitely make one for you. But then I also divided it into tasks and things for next month. Really, this is just going to be a hub, an overview of what I have going on in the month, so it is not overly complicated with designs, it's more functional. Moving on to my business calendar, I have been obsessed and loving this one so much, so I cannot change a thing because it's just working so well. So I came in with that mini calendar and underneath my project deadlines. So whenever I have a deadline that I create for myself, I just circle it on that mini calendar, write it below, and then most satisfying part is just checking it off once it's completed. On the right-hand side, however, I am dividing the page into 2 different sections. So that top section is just going to be specifically dedicated to business tasks. Things that I want to get done, maybe don't have to get done this month, maybe things that I want to look into, research, anything like that. On the bottom is going to be my business goals. I personally want to challenge myself to accomplish 3 goals for the month for my business to help make sure I'm moving in the right direction as my business goals for the year. To make things a little bit easier, I did just come in and add those lines every other dot with my Tombow Fudinosuke pen. Now that we have the more functional trackers out of the way, I can get into my more creative trackers, which I absolutely love. And this is going to be my reading tracker. I've done a few reading challenges in the past couple months in my August plan with me, and I think I did it as well in my July plan with me. Yeah, I definitely did. This month is going to be a little different because I want to get into more of a habit of reading every single day. If you know me and have been watching the channel for a while, I do not like habit trackers because I just get so unmotivated when they're not filled in. So I really don't try to use those in my journal. Instead, having something cute like this is going to make me feel a little bit more motivated filling it out. I have been watching Nadia's Journaling with Nadia. If you haven't watched her, she's fabulous. She was talking about circle trackers, and I'm like, I gotta do a circle tracker. So that is why this tracker is a circle. So in the center, it's going to be lily pad with that dragonfly going over top. I used very similar techniques that I did on the cover page. So adding that line or that vein on the lily pad, having that shadow on the one side of the wings and the dragonfly. Around this design in the center, I'm going to have my actual tracker. So I just created 30 even-ish spaced sections to write down exactly how many minutes that I have read. So the bottom is going to be for my legend. Here I just have it in minutes. And then I, again, wanted to make things easy for myself and more realistic to me filling things out. I am not going to be pulling out my gouache paint every single day. So to get around this, I am going to be using acrylograph pens. I kind of stocked up on my collection. I got the cool fall and the warm fall collections to add, and these colors came in those. So I just have 4 blues here, and I wrote 0 all the way to 21 plus minutes. Ideally, I'm not reading 0, but you never know. On the right-hand side here, I have a self-care checklist. This is going to be a little different than what I usually do. I usually put actually a walking tracker on this side, but really evaluating my walking tracker this past month, let's just say the bubbles by my jellyfish for my August theme were very empty. They were not getting filled out, and there really is no value added to me having a spread in my journal that I'm not going to be using. So that is why I kind of switched it up and really just want to do a self-care checklist this month, because August was very stressful for me and overwhelming in different areas. So for that, I want to have 4 different categories: physical, emotional, social, and professional, and see how I'm taking care of myself in each of those categories. I gave myself about 10 or 11 boxes to write out things that are self-care for me in those categories. Not everything is going to get done. This is more of a check-in versus a you must get this done list, if that makes sense. So at the end of the month, I'm gonna evaluate, see how many got checked off, and then really prioritize a category in October to see what I need to do to make my stress levels go down, to make sure I'm taking care of myself a little bit better. Next up is my memories page, and I, again, went out of my comfort zone with this one and decided to paint another piece of artwork. I generally don't do that, but this month is a little different. I really loved getting out my gouache paints. I was really inspired this month, So I came in and from my messy pencil guide, you can kind of see I have 3 lily pads, a dragonfly, and then this lotus flower just in the center. When I was doing a lot of picture stuff on Pinterest, I always kept seeing lotus flowers with lily pads, so that is just why that made it in here with my little dragonfly friend over top. We're gonna have to figure out a name for my little dragonfly friend. I don't know, I just have to name everything. I don't know why that is. But again, using very similar techniques here, I had 3 different green colors for the 3 different lily pads, added in those veining. You can see I started adding in dark, medium, and light colors in the veining here. And now I'm moving on to the lotus flower. What's happening here is I'm having a really light gray for the outside petals, the ones just in the front and then that wrap around back, because there's a couple of different layers of petals when it comes to lotus flowers, and I wanted to show that in this painting. Because I chose white, which is something that doesn't necessarily stand out or have definition, I needed to use those gray tones to come back in over top of my white to add in outlines, details, brush strokes, anything like that to add more depth and definition to this piece. Once that was all done and it resembled a flower, I came on the inside and just added these yellow stamens, I think they're called, for the lotus flower. Over top, once I am done, I'm putting in my little dragonfly friend using very similar techniques. The one thing that I did kind of fumble a little bit on this piece is my blue was actually still a little bit wet when I came in and I was painting this dragonfly. So it kept picking up that blue pigment in my wings, and then I had to wait and be patient until it dried so I could come back over top. Not my strong suit. Once that was all dried and ready to go, I can put it in my journal. On the right-hand side, I am leaving 1 line a day to write out what I am grateful for, what memories I had throughout the month. Again, keeping things simple, I came in with that blue and salmon color just from my Archer and Olive acrylographs, and then came over top just with the white pen for the numbers. Finishing off everything, I added in the title for memories, and that is this page. August was a month of reflection on my fitness and overall physical health level. I definitely improved in the eating category. I definitely need to improve on the physical part of that category. So I just wrote out my fitness reflection and then my personal reflection on the left and right side of the page, sectioned off 5 different weeks, and then added in a line to divide everything. This worked really well for me last month. Why fix what isn't broken? Last but not least is my weekly categories. I'm still adjusting my block schedule layouts for myself. I really needed to have a hub of information, of goals, tasks, things that needed to get done throughout the week that doesn't necessarily need to be done a specific day. So on the left-hand side, I've switched things up a little bit. Of course, I'm keeping my classic mini calendar and then just highlighting the days of the week that it's for. And then I'm creating 5 different boxes for 5 different categories of my business. The top box is going to be dedicated for tasks, and then the other 4 boxes are things for my shop, my YouTube, my blog, and Instagram. Not everybody is a content creator, so these boxes could always be switched out for things like meals, goals, exercise, waterlog, anything like that. On the right-hand side, I am coming in with my tried and true block scheduling layout. I absolutely love this for my productivity. It has helped so much in getting my ass in gear when it comes to managing my own business. I just came in with a cursive letter for Monday, Tuesday, went around that with the acrylograph pen, which I will say is so much easier than cutting out all of those little words. If you've seen my August Plan With Me theme, you know what I'm talking about. Then I'm just adding in the day of the week, so the 29th and 30th underneath the Monday, Tuesday, and finishing off this weekly layout with a line down the center. But that is really it. Here is just a flip through of what we've done together. And if you've watched up until this point, comment a water emoji down in the comments below. Also, if you are interested in having this be your bullet journal theme and use a digital planner, I have this up on my shop for purchase right now that you can be using either as a digital PDF or you can download and print it off on your computer and paste it into your journal. Thank you for watching, and I'll let you enjoy the flip through. Well, thank you for watching. Make sure to go check out the shop. I'll have it linked just in the description box, and I will see you for a video next week. Bye-bye!